I was trying to tell some people the other day who was incarcerated. They were ex-offenders, and they were like, but I'm an ex-offender. I'm like, you're not no ex-offender. That's not your name. That's perhaps an indication of what you once done. But you are somebody. What's your name? Be who God has called you to be. You don't have to hold your head down on that. Stand tall, walk proud. I am who I am. See, you cannot achieve anything by being out of focus. I remember the words of Dr. Martin Luther King. Dr. Martin Luther King says, whatever you do, be the best at it. Because understand what you do has your name on it, has your signature on it. And so there ought not be anything that's mediocre with your signature on it.
All right.
I am who I am. So what I do has my signature on it. Some of y'all say, well, he's not the best preacher, but I do preach my best. My signature on it. I do labor long and hard because it has my signature on it. Well, some of y'all saying, my wife may not look like she's my wife, but she is my wife. Because she has my signature. Everything about her reflects me. Yes, even this church. Some folks say it may not be the best church, but it is the best church. Because it has my signature on it. My brothers and sisters, we need to understand just who we are. Well, who am I? I'm a child of the King. My name may be Michael Rutledge, but I am a child of the King. And so where I go, I represent Christ. So I understand who I am. I understand who I am. That's why it's easy for me to get. You need to understand that God never sends us any place without letting us know just who we are. Remember, somebody had an identification problem and he told God, he said, God, somebody may question me just who's sending me. Who do I tell is sending me? God says, let me give you my calling card. My calling card is I am that I am. In other words, you don't have to figure out who I am. I am that I am. Mind you, somebody questioned Gabriel in the Advent season. Gabriel had to remind him just who he was. He tells Zacharias, my name is Gabriel. I stand in the very presence of the Lord and deliver this message to you. And you want to question me? Boom. Brothers and sisters, you need to understand who you are. And if you want 2012 to be a productive year, get into focus and understand just who you are. See, we waste so many good years playing. I remember when I was in college and I was pledged in a particular fraternity, and we all had fraternity line names. And when I went over, we had big brother line names. Somebody said, what is your name? I'm the teasing, tempting, tantalizing, terrific tea. I won't go into the rest of it, but the point is that I wasted a whole lot of time trying to be. I got my report card, and my report card brought me back in line. I wasn't there to be teasing, tempting. I had to get focused. And all I'm saying is the same thing happens in our journey in life, is that we play at being who and what we are. There comes a time when we all have to stop and remember and get into focus and understand just who we are. But getting into focus means more than just understanding who you are. It also means that you need to understand what you are about. Jesus gives the disciples here clear direction and into what they had to do. That they were there not just to go to anybody, not just to do anything, any kind of way. In fact, he tells them, look, don't go into the way of the Gentiles. In other words, just because it looks good doesn't mean that you can do it. No, there's a certain way that you have to carry yourself. My brothers and sisters, as a child of God, you ought not carry yourself like the world. As a child, as a dignitary of heaven, you ought to dress up and walk around like you somebody. Tell our young boys in the church, you don't come up in here with your pants hanging down. You are a child of the King. Pull up, can I say it the old way? Pull up them britches. Put a belt on, comb your hair. Walk around like you somebody. Learn how to speak the King's language. I never did, you know what I mean? No, I don't know what you mean. Look, say what you gotta say. Don't be apologetic. Be who God has called you to be. My brothers and sisters, you need to understand what you're about. You see, a look in the future can help you deal with the now, because watch this now, it reminds you and brings you into focus of what you are and what you're about. You're going to Dallas, you don't catch the bus going to Galveston. Come on, help me here. You want to be a mathematician, you don't waste time dealing with people who's learning English. Trying to be a rocket science, you don't waste time dealing with somebody who's in biology. Biology is good, but that's not what you're about. You need to understand that you need to stay focused. You need to get into focus. Understand your purpose. Understand who you are as a person. You see, many of us waste time in difficult relationships because we've lost sight of not who the other person is. We've lost sight of who we are. You're trying to be somebody. You're not hanging with somebody who wants to live out on the streets. You want to be somebody. If you want to be a doctor, you need to learn how you got to hang with folk who know how to study the courses that allow them to be a doctor. You can't be in the club. There will be time for that later, but now you need to burn the midnight oil. My brothers and sisters, the same holds true in the church. For if we're going to get to heaven, and I trust everybody in here will get to heaven, we got to understand who we are and what we are about. One of the reasons why the old folks said that there's very few people on the King's Highway, because very few really know who and what they are. You got to learn how to get into focus. The text says something else here. The text says not only you have to learn how to get into focus, but secondly it says once you're in focus, you got to learn how to stay in focus. It's one thing to get into focus. It's another thing to stay in the focus. And one of the reasons why we don't stay in the focus is because we haven't learned how to handle frustration. Now let me show you the biggest frustration that we have is right there in the verse. Verse 14 says, and whoever will not receive you. The biggest frustration that we deal with in life is this frustration called reception. We want everybody to receive us. Can I help somebody going into 2012? Everybody will not. The word receive is a very interesting word. The Greek word there literally means to accept. Everybody's not going to accept you. You need to understand that. You don't need to cry and waste any sleep over the fact that they won't accept you. Why? Because you're holy. You're righteous. Everybody can't drink that kind of libation. Amen. Everybody can't handle you because you understand who you are. You understand what you're about. And so everybody will not receive you. That's okay. Have you ever seen yourself moving up the ladder of success? And you discover the higher you go, the fewer the people are. If you don't believe me, go home today and pull out your high school yearbook. You'll see all of your homies then, and look at where they are now. Everybody just cannot go to where you want to go or where God has you going. That's okay, but you need to learn how to stay in focus. Don't get upset when people don't accept you. So many of us, we spend a whole lot of time trying to get accepted. We put this on, we put that on. And if we don't have it, naturally we go by it. It's a good place to say amen. But be authentic. Stop being artificial. But rather, we got technology today. Technology is good, but not all technology is good. Be authentic. God has given you more than just trying to waste your time trying to be accepted. All right. Be authentic. Now, Jesus says, watch this. He says, stay focused. You're not going to be accepted. Everybody is not going to accept you. But watch this now. He lifts up a negative. And that's important. Because watch this. A negative is required to generate motion. But discipline is required to generate movement. Y'all missed it. You see, for many of us, we look at the negative as a hindrance. They don't like me. Okay, good. Move on. They won't open the door for me. Good. That's not the door God wants you in. Go to the next one. You got to learn how to keep moving. Many of us get stagnated because we spending the wrong amount of resources and doing the wrong thing trying to be accepted. You see, it's not to make you accept me. It's for you to see what the Lord is doing. And if you can't see what the Lord is doing, thank you very much. I got to move on. See, life is too short to be stagnated in frustration. There comes a time when you got to learn how to shake the dust off the shoes and move on. Now let me show you why this action is important. For the text says, Jesus says, watch this, whoever will not receive you, he says, shake off the dust of your shoes. Watch this. This action is required because it allows you, watch this now, to let go of unproductive places. You see, we spend too much time in unproductive places. Matter of fact, there's another point there. We spend too much time doing unproductive things. Look, you got to learn how to disconnect from that. If it didn't work yesterday, and it didn't work the day before, and it didn't work last week, last month, or last year, guess what? In 2012, it's still. And some of us are bona fide, walking people that are insane. Why? Because we're continuing doing what we always done and don't realize that we always going to get what we always got. That's the definition of insanity. You got to learn how to stay focused. Look what he says in verse 14. And whoever will not receive you nor hear your words, when you depart from that house or city, shake off the dust from your feet. Notice what the Lord doesn't say. He does not say that you got to fight with him. All right, say that. He does not say that you have to prove yourself. He does not say that you have to buy folk. He does not say that you have to win folk over. He simply says, look, watch this now, present yourself and present what the Lord has given you. If they do not receive you nor your words, I'm reminded of a situation. My kids one day, Michaela and Yamini.